안녕하세요. Riding on the Korean wave. Welcome to a brand new week on the Culture Wave. I'm Hwan-Sua in Seoul. Explore with us Korea's culture from all aspects and stay up to date with K-entertainment, K-trends, K-people, and a special focus on K-music today. And we will do all of that together with our Monday co-host, Walter Lee. Hello, Walter.
Hello, Soa, and hello, everyone at home. Today, I'll be reporting the K-enter news, so stick around for that.
And we're also joined by Arirang News culture correspondent Song Yoo-jin. Welcome, Yoo-jin.
Happy Monday, Soa, and happy Monday, Walter.
Hello, Yoo-jin.
And happy Monday to all those viewers of the Culture Wave. I'm Song Yoo-jin, Arirang News culture correspondent.
So, Yoo-jin, what are you going to surprise us with today?
Well, Soa, today I want to start off with a saying that goes, don't be afraid to start something new because it might just become the best thing you ever do.
Ooh.
And here in Korea, a concert that just took place last Friday and Saturday, I think is the best proof of that. So to give our viewers a sneak peek, it was a bold fusion of two very different musical worlds. So let's first take a look. This 2007 hit by SM Entertainment's girl group Girls' Generation, Into the New World, has jumped into a new world, the world of classical music. Since 2020, SM Entertainment and the Seoul Philharmonic Orchestra have teamed up with 8 classical renditions of songs by artists such as SHINee, Red Velvet, and aespa. Now they've brought the world's first ever K-pop orchestra live concert to Seoul.
It's the first of a kind in that the entire setlist performed by the orchestra is K-pop songs. So we're very proud of that.
Performing over a dozen K-pop songs is a new experience for everyone, starting with arranging the music. The key was to keep the original while adding originality.
When arranging, we sample works by famous classical music composers. We looked for pieces that would blend well with the original K-pop track to stay true to the original and highlight the classical elements.
Then it was practice, practice, and more practice until every note hit the mark.
We watched the original performance videos and compared them to the sheet music. Our goal was to bring the lyrics, rhythms, melodies, and emotional depth of the K-pop tracks into our orchestral performance.
Finding this new groove wasn't easy. The orchestra's associate concertmaster compares it to learning a new language.
Because we're so used to playing all the, normal classics, Beethoven, Mahler, Brahms, and then now, all these K-pop songs. So it's been a little bit, kind of like challenging in a way.
But in the end, they discovered the beauty of crossing genres and unlocking new potential.
We're taking K-pop's flashy performance and transforming it into something you can appreciate with just your ears. We're not just playing melodies. We're reimagining K-pop as 21st century orchestral music. Even if you're not familiar with the original songs, you'll find something to enjoy.
Two genres worlds apart have come together to strike a chord, creating something groundbreaking, making classics trendy, and turning trends into timeless classics.
What a unique experience. We did earlier report on the SM Town concert, which was also related to the 30th anniversary of SM Entertainment. I think that was Walter when you reported about that back then, but this was a totally different experience.
I never thought we'd be talking about K-classical music now. Now, it's a completely new genre of music, but it really sounds like the audience really got the best of both worlds in this situation.
Right, so you mean K-classical music as in K-pop plus K-classical music.
Exactly.
We do have K-classical music.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but Yoo-jin, for those who didn't make it, is there any way we can still experience this collaboration?
Well, I'm happy to say that there is an option because last month, SM Classics released its first full album. The album is titled Across the World, and the album is currently available on major music platforms worldwide, including Spotify, iTunes, and Apple Music. So it features 14 songs, including some that were performed at these concerts. And when asked which song stood out during rehearsals, conductor Kim Yoo-won mentioned aespa's Black Mamba and SHINee's Sherlock, while the arrangers picked Red Velvet's Feel My Rhythm, and all 3 are on the album, so very great news.
And is there anything that we can actually look forward to in the near future, Yoo-jin?
Well, there actually is, because this coming September, Seoul Philharmonic will be collaborating with Jung Jae-il, the composer behind Squid Game, and they will perform his latest works. SPO will do that. So it will be very interesting and fascinating to see how this classical orchestra once again reinterprets contemporary music to its own style.
Oh, looking forward to that, because I really love the Squid Game music.
Right.
You know, the dun, 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 dun. I can so imagine that being played as an orchestra.
Right.
So that's going to be also a few months after the final season comes out.
Because season 3 will come out in June.
Exactly. So definitely something to mark on our calendars.
Right.
So Yujin, thank you very much for that coverage today.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Eugene.
It's now time for K-Enter News with Walter Lee. Now, Walter, the first story we're going to report about is on something that we really didn't wish to report on, right?
Yes, so Korea is mourning the loss of Korean star Kim Sae-ron, as the 24-year-old actor was found dead at her residence in Seongsu-dong by a friend at around 4:50 p.m. on Sunday. Now, as of now, police are still investigating Kim's death. However, they have said that there appears to be no forced entry into the house or signs of foul play. Now, Kim first debuted as a child model in 2001 and later made her acting debut at the age of 9 in A Brand New Life. However, it wasn't until 2010 when she gained massive notoriety in the popular Korean movie The Man from Nowhere, or 아저씨 in Korean, alongside Wonbin. Now, however, in May 2022, she unfortunately was heavily criticized after she caused an accident while driving under the influence near Cheongdam-dong in Gangnam-gu, Seoul. She crashed into a roadside electrical transformer and a tree before fleeing the scene. Now, following the incident, she was bombarded with malicious comments from the public regarding her actions. Kim did attempt to return to the spotlight with a stage performance, but had to withdraw from projects due to health concerns. And we here at the Culture Wave and Arirang send our deepest condolences to Kim Sae-ron's family and friends.
The news did leave many in shock, also because, according to reports, the actress Kim Sae-ron, she changed her name to Kim Ah-im to actually start a new life.
Yeah.
Now, Walter, keep us updated if we have any results on the investigations that are going on.
Will do.
And now we're going to move on to an act of kindness from a veteran K-star.
Yes, it was recently revealed that Korean actor and also businessman Bae Yong-jun donated over 3 billion Korean won, that's just over $2 million to the Yonsei University Health System. Now, according to a report on Sunday by Yonsei University Health System, and they announced in a newsletter published in December of last year that the Bae had donated money for the development of its medical center. Now, Bae stated, despite the challenging circumstances in the medical field, I decided to contribute in the hopes that the medical center will continue to develop and grow into a leading institution in the future medicine. So Yonsei University Health System plans to use the donations for the center's development and to cover medical expenses for teenagers and infants from low-income backgrounds. Now, Bae debuted as an actor in 1994 and gained immense popularity in 2002 with the KBS drama Winter Sonata. Now, which was said to be the key factor in the rise of Hallyu.
Exactly. Now, we often see these donations being revealed after they do so, like months or weeks or months after. And I think it's in many cases because the stars do not want that media attention for that good deed, because they are doing it for the sake of a good deed.
Of course.
But Walter, let's move on to our final news of the day. We're going to move over to K-pop.
Yes, so girl group LE is set to release their 5th mini album called Hot at 1 p.m. on March 14th. Now, this marks a return 7 months after their previous release, which was called Crazy. Now, at midnight on Monday, LE announced their upcoming album through their fan interaction site called Weverse. The new album embodies the group's passionate attitude of giving their all in what they love, which is the fans and obviously music themselves. So LE is a 5-member group that debuted in May of 2022. They have released hit songs such as Anti-Fragile, Unforgiven, Easy, and Perfect Night.
So that's coming up on March 14th.
Yes.
That's going to be easy to remember because
Yes.
it's White Day here in Korea.
Oh, you got to remember that day. That's
You
when-
got to remember that day too,
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Waiting for some sweets and candy.
Yes, I'll give both you and Eugene some sweets and candy.
All right. Thank you very much, Walter, and stick around.
I will.
And for other culture-related news, let's turn to our AI anchor, Ari.
Hello and welcome to your AI guide to the latest cultural updates from Korea. Here's our top story. Sales of nudes. Museum merchandise inspired by cultural heritage have surpassed 20 billion won, or roughly $14 million for the first time. The name nudes combines the words museum and goods. The National Museum Foundation of Korea says nudes generated over 21 billion won in revenue last year, marking a 42% increase from the previous year. Interest from international visitors is also growing, with foreign customers accounting for nearly 17% of total nude sales at museums last year, up from just 6% in 2020. To cater to global demand, the foundation has launched an international online shop, offering 50 flagship products to customers in over 220 countries. Explore the collection at www.nudes.kr. The National Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art has named Yang Jung-wook the winner of the Korea Artist Prize 2024. His kinetic sculptures weave storytelling with warmth, reflecting his vision of an ideal life. The judging panel described his work as a powerful reminder of art's ability to provide comfort and highlighted the deeply moving interplay between large-scale and intimate pieces. Each year, the museum selects 4 visual artists, offering them opportunities to exhibit their works before choosing a final winner. The exhibition, featuring works by Yang, along with fellow nominees Yoon Ji-young, Kwon Ha-yoon, and Jane Jin Kaisen, runs at MMCS Seoul through March 23rd. Poetry by Korean grandmothers from a small rural town has come to life on stage, captivating audiences with warm humor and heartfelt reflections on life. The musical, 오지게 재밌는 가시나들, follows elderly women attending a literacy school in Chilgo, Gyeongsang-buk-do province, as they rediscover their voices through poetry. It reimagines their remarkable journey of learning to read and write for the first time at the age of over 70, radiating a sense of empowerment. Adapted from the documentary Chilgo 가시나들, the production had a showcase in 2023 before making its full stage debut this week, after 3 years in the making. Director Oh Kyung-taek noted that while creating a show that resonates across generations is challenging, he firmly believes this one succeeds. The performance runs through February 27th. That's all from me. Keep it tuned to the Culture Wave.
K-pop fever hasn't cooled off. Global demand is still growing, with K-pop related sales generally doing well. But lately, there has been a decrease in sales of music albums. Today, we want to analyze this shift with Jeff Benjamin, a K-pop expert and contributor to Billboard, Forbes, Rolling Stone, and more. Hello, Jeff.
Hello, Jeff.
Hey, all.
Hi. So, Jeff, let's talk about these figures released earlier this month, which showed that K-pop album sales last year declined. I mean, there was a slight rise in album exports by 0.5%, but not a really big, significant rise. So what caused this general drop?
Yeah, I think it's important to look at this in sort of the larger context of where album sales had been going up to this point, right? So naturally, in 2020, we all remember the unfortunate COVID-19 pandemic. And, this was a time when it wasn't just that fans couldn't see an artist, do live performances or go on tours. Artists and fans were, completely kept away from one another. There was no contact or no interaction at all. So that really kind of led to fans who, might have had disposable income, who weren't going to tours or, had saved money in that point. They could instead, buy more albums in that point or find different ways to connect with their favorite artist. And this has created a huge, huge trend that we saw specifically in the COVID-19 times of online fan signs and fan calls, where fans would purchase an album and then they'd get the chance to maybe talk with their artist or have a FaceTime phone call or be able to talk with them through video chat. There were all these kind of options that previously weren't available to global fans. So when we're talking about K-pop album sales, the Gaon chart in particular, it is counting global sales, right? So we're looking at fans at a global way. Fans in 2019 or 2020 rather through 2024, they were getting more chances to meet artists, but we don't have those same kind of issues anymore. Touring is up, like we said. More artists are coming out, so it's not that I think album sales declining is necessarily it's not a good trend per se, right? But thinking about everything in context, we don't, necessarily need to have those huge surge of album sales that we had at a time, simply just because, fans have more ways to interact with artists once again.
And personally, what's your assessment of this change?
Yeah, I think, to be realistic, I think, I think you can see it in the back here. I love physical albums. I love a paper product, but let's be realistic, right? Many people are not buying the album to physically play the music, right? We are streaming it on streaming services or watching it on YouTube, but instead an album is it's a part of your fandom, right? And while an album, definitely has a purchase and a price to it, ultimately artists and entertainment companies are going to be able to make more from their fans and more from consumers at something like a live tour or a live show, where not only tickets are more expensive, but you're able to buy merchandise. It helps the venues. There might be different perks you can buy. I think all of this is kind of part of a healthy music industry. I think the album sales, the huge, amazing numbers that we were seeing from artists like 17 and BTS and just all these, Stray Kids, huge numbers, 5 million albums in sales. I think that was, it almost wasn't fair to almost keep up that standard, because moving forward, it just was never going to be able to sustain it at that level, just thanks to eventually the world coming back to the way it is. So I think ultimately things are still healthy, even though there has been some changes with the fan signs changing. China sales have definitely changed. There's not as much bulk buying happening from China. But ultimately, I don't see any huge red flags for the industry at large.
We're going to get into details later on again, but Jeff, first off, you just mentioned the COVID-19 pandemic. So after the pandemic, people are going to concerts again. So last year, K-pop idols were more active overseas than ever before, resulting in a surge in K-pop concert sales. So can we say that the K-pop market is still growing, and what is the connection between the decrease in album sales whereas we're seeing the increase in concert sales?
1000%. Yeah, I think specifically when we were talking about album sales being down, domestic sales for K-pop in Korea, right, are down a bit. So it kind of makes sense that there would need to be some some money made up from going overseas to maybe where album sales are proving to be a bit more hotter. But ultimately, right, even though album sales are definitely indicative of a healthy musician, artists whose fans are not only buying the music, but supporting them, loving them in that way, I think touring is almost like the next step, right? It's one thing to passively listen to music or stream music or pick up an album, and display it on a shelf or something. But when you go out to a tour or you end up buying, a light stick or a t-shirt at a concert and you're engaging with the, communities, the different fans around there, the artists themselves, that's kind of like a whole nother level of engagement. And I think all these things are ultimately quite healthy to where the industry is going.
And so could we say that fans' perception of album purchases is changing as well?
I hope so, because I think sometimes we can get so tied into the numbers, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the charts. I'm a big chart person. I love looking at, I love when different artists break different record sales. And generally speaking, if someone sells 4 million albums instead of 5 million albums, that's still a huge success, right? None of these artists are completely tanking in ways that, should cause for concern. I think, yeah, the idea of an album purchase, if your favorite artists aren't hitting those huge milestones that they did in their last comeback, be gracious, be gentle, because I really don't think it's as indicative of artists, completely falling off, but rather, just kind of the way the industry is evolving right now.
Right. I mean, I have become a bigger K-pop fan in the recent years, but I have to admit I'm not buying as much as albums like I did when I was, a student in the past.
Yeah.
And also we want to mention some attribute the downward trend actually to the hiatus of K-pop giants like BTS and Blackpink, right?
Right, but BTS and Blackpink are set to return in the second half of this year, which everyone's looking forward to. So how much of an impact do they have on these sales of albums?
Well, they are leaders in a huge way. I mean, especially BTS, just leaders not only just in terms of sales, in terms of, getting greater attention on K-pop, but also, helping pave the way for more artists to get more opportunities to get their albums in stores or in big retailers. I know if it wasn't for BTS, I don't think we still probably wouldn't have K-pop albums in stores in America. So I'm very grateful for them. But I think, in particular, artists like BTS and Blackpink, definite leaders, not just of their generation, but of sort of, this next generation K-pop wave still to this day. When they come back and when they're releasing music, they are kind of, it's like the phrase, a rising tide lifts all ships, that, they kind of bring increased visibility to, the entire scene, the entire industry. So, as long as they come back and as long as, everything is, squarely in place, I do think we're going to kind of see some ticks up in the industry, because naturally if people are comfortable, they know BTS, they know Blackpink, they might, be interested to check out, a related video on YouTube, or they might, want to buy another album that they see next to them. There's so many ways to connect, and when you have a huge artist like that, it's very important. So I'm super excited not only to have these great artists back, but also just see, where they take their impact next.
Let's see how the figures will look for 2025. But Jeff, it does look like it's kind of difficult now to draw a correlation between K-pop growth and record sales from here on. So are we expecting any changes in the K-pop industry based on that?
Yeah, what I would really encourage, and it's something that is definitely changing right now, but it's something I had to change my mindset with. But if you look at the biggest albums, sort of like in the world, regardless of genre, they not only have very strong physical sales, but they also have very high streaming numbers, right? So people are not only purchasing the album for whatever to play in their cars, for their fandom, to display on their bookcase, whatever, but they're also constantly going back to these albums and streaming them and kind of really engaging with them in ways that show that they're being more of an active listener than just simply purchasing it once and then keeping it on the shelf and maybe never looking at it again. So I look at someone like Rosé from Blackpink, who has had huge success, right, with her single the App Batu song with Bruno Mars. That has been a huge hit around the world and in streaming, but it's really kept her album going and kept interest in her solo album Rosie really high. And it's kind of allowed people to take more interest in the other songs that don't, might not have a commonly known artist like Bruno Mars on the album. So her singles like Toxic Till the End and Number One Girl are kind of getting an additional boost, and it's kind of helping the album project at large to really keep people entertained. The album, I don't think, has fallen under the top 50 in the first 10 weeks it's been out on the Billboard 200. So people are going back to this album, going back to the singles, and I think that's a sign of just a really healthy album. So when we're talking about changing perceptions, yeah, maybe it doesn't need to be just about how many purchases and how many products did you buy, but rather, what's the overall activity look like? How much streaming did it get in addition to the album sales?
So it's probably not anymore about the format of the music, but just having that quality music, that quality K-pop music continue to grow around the world and spread. So thank you very much for your insights, Jeff, today.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, guys. See you soon.
See you next time. And thank you, Walter. We're going to see you back here tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you for spending the past half an hour with us on the Culture Wave. Please join us again tomorrow on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Korea time and maybe one day here in Korea.